you know, taking my time to make something that I'm really going to love. That's the whole point behind Well Loved Knits, making things that you will love to wear. And I need to make sure that I'm doing that. Hi guys, welcome or welcome back. If you're new here, my name's Bethany. I'm the girl behind Well Loved Knits. And this week, we're going to be doing something we haven't done in a really long time, which is a knitting podcast, obviously by the title. I really wanted to catch you guys up on some of the projects that I've been working on lately. And honestly, I just wanted kind of a chill video for this week because it's been a very weird week for me. I was actually supposed to be right now in the US visiting my family, and yeah, due to personal reasons that I'm not going to really get into, that trip had to get canceled last minute. So I've been mentally just trying to process that and really diving into some projects. So I'm excited to share those with you. I am not drinking out of a handmade mug today. I'm supporting my local coffee shop. This is Buddy Buddy. If you're in the Brussels area, I would definitely check it out. It's a really cool cafe. It's probably become one of my absolute favorites. They make peanut butter, and I love peanut butter. They have all kinds of different handmade peanut butters, which is just really random, but it's delicious. And if you're in the area, definitely check it out. It's just really cool that it's made here in Brussels, and they make really awesome coffee too. And I think everything is, yeah, I think it's a whole plant-based cafe. So they have a lot of good like milk alternative options if that's something that you're into. So I had to buy a mug because I just thought it was super cute. I love their logo, and I really love everything about that cafe. So I wanted to support them. I'm going tableless today. So I have everything that I want to show you on my floor, and we'll just dive into some projects. Happy Me Made May, by the way. I'm wearing something that I recently just finished. It's a sewing project, not a knitting project. And I have two other sewing projects, very simple ones, that I wanted to share too. This is the Lisa dress by Hubba Ding. I'm wearing a t-shirt over top of it, but it's basically like a tank top dress, a tiered dress. I'll insert some pictures that I shared over on Instagram. I chose this dress because for my me-made maternity wardrobe, because it has a really long top portion. So like the first tier of the dress is a very long one, and I thought that would be very nice and easy to wear over a growing belly. But it isn't the most flattering, I'd say. I think it can be very flattering when you're not so shapely, if you don't have a belly like that. So what I've been really liking, I love the dress. I think it turned out really nice. The instructions were really great. I think just the final piece and how I would want to wear it, it didn't kind of go the way I wanted. I would have loved a little bit more structure around the bust area, which is why I've been really loving pairing it with t-shirts like this. I've worn it underneath the dress, but then also tying it up at the top, so then it's just a little bit more shapely, so it doesn't like kind of swallow me up, because I think that's something as like a petite person. Dresses like this can be very flattering on like very tall people, but if you're smaller, it just feels like I was wearing a tent, and I love that too, but I did want a little bit more emphasis around the bust area, so I've been doing that little modification with this dress. But overall, I would really recommend Hubba Ding's patterns. She has so many great dress options, and they're all very beginner friendly. I think they're targeted for beginners, which makes them really, really great options if you're new to sewing like me. We'll go into sewing, I think, at the end, once I show you all the knitting, because this is a knitting podcast after all. So I do have some finished objects to share, one of which I just realized that I forgot to bring. you've seen it already. If you like non-knitting podcast type videos, you've definitely seen this FO in my last week's video, which was just like a knitting vlog. So if you like behind the scenes knitting content, definitely go check that out, and others like it. But these are my teddy pants. These are the pants that I was knitting up in my Knit and Chat episode, and I finally finished them after a very sad game of yarn chicken that I knew was inevitable because I was really at the last little bits of my skein when I was working on the armbands, which is just really tragic when you have to buy a skein for literally like nothing at all. And that's okay. In the end, I really love how these turned out. This is a pattern by Petite Knit, the teddy pants. It's not pants, but it's instead like a little onesie that has little buttons up at the top. And it's just a really cute jumpsuit onesie that I know I will want to put my future baby in many times, as much as I can while he can fit into it. The fabric that is provided by the yarn that I used, which was Rowan Yarn's Baby Soft Cashmere. No. Baby Cash Soft Merino. That yarn, I don't know the color off the top of my head, but it's just this rust brown reddish tone. And I really love that. It's kind of faded a little bit actually since I've given it a wash and block. And after blocking, the fabric is just really nice, really soft to the touch. Whereas before, while I was knitting it up, it was kind of rough and bumpy. And I wasn't really liking the feeling of it in my hands, and I was kind of concerned about the finished object, but just goes to show that blocking can do miracles. And make a really nice fabric at the end, like once you're all done. But I knit the 1 to 2 month size, and this is quite large for 1 to 2 months. If I'm gonna be honest, I knit the swatch a really long time ago because, as I've mentioned, this has been a 3-month project for multiple reasons, mainly pregnancy symptoms and so on. But so I know I knit a swatch to kind of make sure that I got gauge, but knowing me, probably didn't care if it was off in any way. So I think if I'm trying to remember back, I don't think that my gauge was perfect. I think it might have been on the larger side. Like my swatch was on the larger side in comparison to the gauge that was listed in the pattern. Which is maybe why I was knitting the 1 to 2 months, because then I was thinking, okay, well then it would just be bigger and he would be able to fit in it in longer or when he's a little bit older. But I can't remember that exactly because I haven't been able to find the swatch. I keep looking over here because I do try to like put them up on my board, but I did a reorganization recently, so yeah, some swatches have just gone away, which is a shame. But anyway, this does seem a little bit larger for 1 to 2 months because I have gotten some clothes for my future baby, store-bought clothes, and this kind of matches up with like a 6 months set, like a onesie and pair of pants that I've gotten. Like together, it kind of looks like when you match them up together, it's very long. So he's gonna have a lot of room in this as a 1 to 2 month. We'll see. I have no idea. I don't think, knowing myself and my husband, I've been asking my mom and my mother-in-law about how big we were when we came out, and I don't think he's gonna be too large. I don't know. It's anyone's game, who knows? But I'm really happy with how this one has turned out. So if you've seen it already, I'm sorry for the repeat, but I did want to mention that the size is a little off for what I've knit, like the instructions that I followed. And I can't put my finger on why exactly that would be. I haven't measured it to like the final dimensions that's listed in the pattern. I don't normally do that with my sweaters. If I'm following a pattern, if it fits, I'm happy kind of thing. So it's not bothering me enough to actually go and do that. I guess I'm kind of lazy in that sense. But I am knitting up a 1 to 2 months, I think, in another whip that I'm going to show you later, which is why I'm kind of like comparing the two, and it's just such a stark contrast. It's like, it's crazy. But yes, so the last thing that I want to say about this is I have decided I am going to do the embroidered face on the front because I found this. This is a bag of a bunch of embroidery floss that I got for Christmas from my husband a couple of years ago because I told him that I was interested in embroidery and punch needling or to like learn how to do it. And he bought me all of this, which I have not used. I've opened it, but I haven't used it. And I think I need to use this. So I have a lot of different colors to choose from. I'm gonna try and find the right shades, you know, for like a more realistic bear. I think I see a couple, but yeah. So I have the materials to do so, so I figure I should practice and try. Since I did want to learn how to embroider a long time ago, now is the opportunity to give that a try. I'm not going to use my excuse of not knowing how to do it as a reason not to do it, because it would be a really nice finishing touch, and I think it would just add something to the final piece of this little jumpsuit teddy pants. And it would really match the name as well. So yeah, that's to come. I'm not really gonna dive into that quite yet because I'm really into some of my other whips right now, but when I have some spare time, I'm definitely going to sit down and do a practice run first. If I can ever find that swatch, I'll just use one that's up here. And yeah, we'll be fine. I'm sure after a couple of tries, it won't be so bad. Yeah. So those are the teddy pants. And yeah, I would really recommend that pattern. Very, very easy, not difficult at all. Very straightforward, and like all of her patterns, really, really nice final product and nice like process of knitting. So for the next one, I have another finished object that has come and gone. I haven't shown you guys any behind the scenes about this at all. These are a pair of socks. Can you believe it? I can't, honestly. If you've been around for a while, I'm kind of notorious for not finishing socks. I think I've only finished 3 pairs in my life, in my knitting journey, and started a lot more than that. For one, in the last knitting podcast that I've done, which was a couple of months ago, I shared colorwork socks that I was working on, and I finished one of those, and I shared that, so I'm not gonna go fish those out, but I had finished one pair of colorwork socks, and I really love it. It was by Summer Lee Co. Designs. She makes a lot of great socks, a lot of colorwork socks, and I enjoyed that project, kinda. It was just a really long sock, which is why I've kind of not cast on and worked on the other one, because it's also me trying to dive into colorwork and continental knitting. I was using that as an opportunity to kind of practice continental. And you know what? I think I'm just going to admit that I don't enjoy continental. It's not something that I really enjoy, which is why I haven't really dove into the project again. And I think it's just an interesting side note that we are all talking about how to get faster in knitting and what's the best way to knit. And I definitely know that there are supposed benefits to continental for wrist pain and so on, make you faster. But I just want to say that if you are an English style knitter and you're feeling forced to learn continental, don't. Because I kind of feel that way too. I feel like I should just know how to do it and I should just try, and I have tried. But it's not something that I'm very motivated to learn how to do. It's just very interesting. And I don't feel like we should pressure ourselves to learn continental if we don't want to. If you've learned English style and you really like knitting English style, it's predictable for you, you know that you have good gauge and so on, those are my reasons, then you shouldn't feel pressured to learn continental if you don't want to. I just want to say that. So, I mean, that's kind of why I abandoned that last sock project, because I will finish it. I have intentions to finish it. I definitely want to, because it's a beautiful sock and I think it's really great. I don't have to knit it continental. It just make it a little bit easier with the color work. But because it's something I don't really enjoy, like a style of knitting that I don't really enjoy, it's been on the back burner and it's been put into the UFO pile. But I was shopping for fabric at my local fabric store, which is very, very strange. I was not expecting, because this is really just a dedicated fabric store. I've been in there multiple times and never have seen any other crafty type things. It's really just bolts and bolts of fabric and thread and yeah. So I was shopping because I wanted to make this project and others as well. And so I went in there and I got some fabric for those projects, but then when I was at the cash register, I saw some self-striping yarn by, it's that German brand, I think it's German. Oh yeah, Scholler. So I found the tag here, and it's definitely in German. It's Ostermann Step yarn. I don't know. That's what it is right there. I think, isn't it the brand that is, Scholler is like that very famous self-striping yarn brand? I think they have a lot of varieties, and they might have partnered with Wool and the Gang for the leopard print socks that they have, the crazy kind of magic socks. Yeah. I think. So I saw this, and I was really drawn to the colors. They're very, very beautiful. I will show you in skein form first, because I have a lot left over. So this is the skein that I fell in love with at the cash register. Something about it just screamed like mid-century modern, and also had like those 70s vibes again. Kind of what I was talking about with the other sock, actually. So I just really love how the brown pairs with the orange and the blue, and then there's just some green in there and yellow. It's to make these cool looking stripes that kind of turned out like this. So I have Shorty Socks, which I'm gonna show you these first before I go into a tangent about it. But yeah, see, so it's really pretty stripes. I just think something about it. I looked at the skein and I looked at the example on the tag itself, and I was like, I want to knit these socks. So I bought them and cast them on and knit them up so fast, because they're Shorty Socks, which I think for somebody who is notorious for not finishing sock projects, I think I found like my magic sock project. I really, really enjoyed knitting these up, and it was so fast to do so. And I think I'm going to enjoy them more than regular like long socks that I would normally have knit up. And the reason for that is I found and I don't know if it's the yarn that I had used, but I have knit some everyday socks in some natural wool, like non-superwash wool, and they scratch me on my ankles, or like just above my ankles, so past that point when I get closer up to my calf. And it's just a little itchy and uncomfortable there. And so I think it could just be the yarn, but I think maybe I just enjoy shorter socks, or I would enjoy shorter socks, hand knit short socks. And yeah, now I have a pair that I can wear And I'm very excited about it. So not only will they probably be more comfortable for me, they were extremely fast to knit. I knit these up, well, in less than a week, which for me, nothing takes me less than a week in the knitting world anymore. So I was very excited about that, even other socks. So this is great. And we went to see The Northman, a movie that was extremely strange. I enjoyed it. I would definitely recommend it if you're into that kind of movie. It is a little bizarre, but a good one. And so I knit the majority of one of the feet of the sock, like probably this sock or something. I knit the foot, like watching an entire movie. And again, I'm not normally that fast with knitting anything. So I was very excited about that. And now I just think they're super cute, nice little short socks. And I think I found my winning combination in terms of sock projects. So that's great. But I have a lot of yarn left over. Honestly, I think I could probably do another pair with this because I barely made a dent in the sock skein that I started with. So I could just do another one, but I'm gonna wait because I actually cast on another pair of socks. Another pair of self-striping socks, even. I'm just really happy about this because I thought that I've always wanted a lot of hand knit socks. I just never get around to finishing them. So I'm just happy that I'm starting to figure out a combination that works best for me, you know? So much that I've started working on another one. So I'll just jump into that one so you can see. There's not really a lot of progress on this. It's really just the start of another cuff. So I had so much fun working with that self-striping yarn because it brought in that combination where I was really excited about the colorwork socks that I was working on last time. I really enjoyed watching that colorwork pattern like come to life, but I didn't really enjoy the process of working the colorwork. So I think I need more time to kind of get myself in the groove of knitting socks, and then I can really get into color work. So that's where I got really excited about those self-striping socks. And then I enjoyed that so much that I decided to get some more self-striping yarn. So this is Drops Fable in the lavender, or lavendel is the listing. So I think it's lavender colorway. I just really I love purple. I love the look of purple. And for socks, I think it's perfect. You know, when I say that I love the look of purple, I don't think I would ever knit myself a purple sweater. Never say never though. But for like accessories, I think it's a great color. I love the color. I would wear purple socks. So this is where I'm at right now. It's just the first sock. Haven't gotten too far otherwise. And you can see that there's just this really funky self-striping pattern that's forming. That might help a little bit. So with those shorty socks, the first ones that I just did, I think I might have gone even just a smidge too short on the leg portion, the very short leg portion, but I think I could still do a couple more rows. So I'm going to go in and do more rows on this one and kind of compare the two before I do some German short rows for the heels, because I think that's my preferred heel. I'm getting a lot better at it. That's something I didn't mention when I had those in my hand, that this time around the German short row heel was so easy and actually fun to knit. And I think I have to thank the teddy pants for that. The teddy pants really helped me unlock German short rows for whatever reason. I'm not usually somebody who finds it very easy. I've struggled with it in the past, but this time something clicked with that project. and then it was solidified in the heels shaping for those everyday socks. And so I'm excited to get to the German short row portion of this, which I can't believe that I'm saying. So it's nice when something finally like unlocks in your head. So if I didn't mention it for the last, or if it wasn't clear for the last sock, I was using the Petite Knit Everyday Sock pattern, and I'm also using that one here. I'm just doing a modification where I shortened the leg and just make a short little cuff, and then go into everything else for the pattern. I'm knitting the 3rd size. So, you know, for a US 8.5 to 9. And yeah, I'm really happy. Anyway, I know I've said it multiple times. I'm just really happy that I'm actually getting somewhere with socks, and that it's working out for me, you know, project-wise. One thing though, I will say, the Drops Fable is a very affordable skein of yarn. I don't think I'm too crazy about the pattern that gets worked up. For self-striping socks, I just don't really find it to be, I don't know. I'm just not wild about this, you know? It might be interesting. As a finished object, maybe I'll change my mind, but I had so much fun discovering the stripe pattern of those last socks. And this time I'm kind of just like looking at everything and I'm just like, instead of knitting and being excited about how it's working up, I'm kind of just like looking at it like, ugh. And I don't know. So I guess I'm being a little picky. So I'm probably going to be looking online a lot and looking up some new self-striping yarns. Definitely let me know if you have any in particular that you really love. Ones that I have in my future would be the Patins Sock. I don't know the exact name. I talked about it in my free patterns lineup for spring, the 15 free patterns for spring. And it was the mid-century modern colorway of the yarn that was used for the slip knit socks by Yarnspirations. It's by Patins. So I ordered some of that yarn to my parents' house, and unfortunately I'm not going to be able to get it as I thought I was going to. And so hopefully she's sending that to me in the mail so I can knit those up, because those are also going to be a lot of fun to knit because they are self-striping and they have a lot of fun, like cute springy colors. So I'm very excited about that. But if you have any other recommendations, other self-striping yarns that you really love, definitely leave those down in the comments, because I would really love to discover some more, because I'm on a self-striping kick right now. Yeah. So that's where I'm at with this sock. We'll see what the finished object looks like. I think it will be also really fun to have two like mismatched socks almost. That's kind of what I'm predicting is going to happen here. With these socks, actually, I'm surprised that they didn't look more mismatched than they do. They actually look pretty well matched even, because I'm not like knitting the full length of the sock that's recommended for the pattern, for the sock and for the pattern for Petite Knit. So I'm surprised like how well they match, which is really cool. So I have another baby knit to show you guys. In my last week's video, I was sharing that I cast on a pair of pants, something that I've talked about in another video, which was what I plan to knit my baby. And that was about 2 weeks ago. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I talk about a bunch of patterns and do a little yarn haul about some of the things that I want to work up for the baby that's coming in September. And last week I cast on with the intention to work up the Snuggle Pants by Rowan Yarn. And unfortunately I had to frog that project because the gauge was completely off. The yarn that I was using was not going to grow in the way that I was expecting it to. I should have known that because it was superwash. And superwash yarn doesn't tend to kind of bloom in the same way that wool would, like 100% natural wool. Non-treated wool is what I should probably say. So I ended up frogging that project because there was too much drape. It just wasn't sturdy enough, and the gauge was very loose. All different things that were kind of making it into a project that was not worth finishing with that material. Which actually makes me have to go back and rethink some of the yarn pairing that I had mentioned in that video. So I was talking about projects where I was mixing a Longovec Anna, which is the yarn that I'm talking about. It was this superwash merino that's very thin. It's a very beautiful yarn, and it has the same gauge listed on the tag as the Knitting for Olive, but they're two different types of yarn. So the Longovec Anna is superwash merino, and the Knitting for Olive yarn, the merino yarn, is non-superwash. And after doing some, swatches, I've noticed it's very different. The two wools definitely work very differently together, and I actually did plan on combining the two for a project, and I'm gonna have to not do that. Either find a substitute, get more Knitting for Olive to kind of do it all together, or rethink how I'm gonna use those yarns and maybe scrap the idea to work up some of those projects where I would be combining the two. So that's something where I was even saying in that video where it's like I had all these plans for baby and what I wanted to knit for baby. I'm somebody who changes my mind a lot, and as I get like creatively inspired, I might be inspired by one project versus another in the moment, and I'll go with that project, which kind of leads me into what I did after I had to frog that project. Instead of going on a journey with the snuggle pants, I chose a different project. And it's funny, it's something that I have wanted to knit for baby for a really long time. It was one of those projects that I've had my eye on for a long time, but I didn't mention it in the video for whatever reason. And you know what? I had actually bought the pattern years ago. I don't know what. Well, I knew that I bought the Selma sleep suit, so that's one of the patterns that I definitely want to knit for baby. I've talked about that in the other video, and I'm not going to go into that now. But I purchased that pattern a long time ago because I knew that that was what I wanted to use some yarn that I have for. I wanted to use that yarn for that specific project, so I bought the pattern. But what I don't remember doing is at the same time purchasing the Monday suit pattern. So I was going through my email trying to find the Selma sleep suit pattern, and in the same email I had the download link for the Monday suit, and I was like, what? Well, first of all, I love the Monday suit. Why didn't I bring that up in the video that I made? But then second of all, how did I forget that I purchased this pattern? So check your emails, definitely go through and see, if you don't do Ravelry and that sort of thing, or if you've purchased off-site of Ravelry, definitely check your email and see what patterns that you have floating around, because you might be surprised. I definitely was. So I'm working on the Monday suit. And I'm working on the Monday suit in the yarn that I had said I was going to knit up a second pair of teddy pants. Very indecisive. You know what? This is just, you knit your stash. This is how you don't have a lot of yarn stuck in your stash. You just got to be fluid with your projects, with your materials. And then, I always look at it like, okay, yeah, I said I wanted to knit the teddy pants with this. I probably do want to knit a pair of teddy pants again. I'll just buy more yarn for it. I had this now and I wanted to use it now, so that's what I'm going to do. So I have a little gray Monday suit in the works. This is going to be a little difficult to kind of show you guys, but look how cute it is. It's so small. See, and that's what's striking me about this project. It's just so small in comparison to the teddy pants, and I'm pretty sure I'm knitting the same age range. So that just kind of shows you maybe how off my gauge was in that other one. But I'm not done yet. I think I'm about halfway down the body, and I still need to knit the the arms and so on. But what really strikes me is the neck. So you can see the neckline right here. It's so small. I'm just like, how is it gonna fit him? Oh my gosh, it's so cute. But I looked on Instagram in the hashtag, and I don't think that my neckline looks any smaller than some of the other projects that I saw, so I'm really not concerned. And I think, after blocking it'll stretch or grow quite a bit, which is a good thing. But yeah, this has been such a fun project. I'm really not regretting casting it on at a whim. Although this was probably more planned than all of my other projects because I bought it years ago, the pattern. So this was a very, very planned in advance project. And I'm just really loving it. It's really cool because there are increases and decreases along the side here to kind of make that swooped button band. Again, it's kind of difficult to show. Maybe this will give you a better idea. So yeah, it's very enjoyable. I'm enjoying it. I like working with the Knitting for Olive yarn, definitely. And yeah, it's just a simple raglan style. It's been a very quick knit, to be honest, as well. So this and the socks have been my, wow, this is just going by so fast. So baby knits, I can confirm that I can go quickly with these baby knits. Each project is not going to take me 3 months to do. Kind of regretting not bringing the table over here because it's a little inconvenient. So not only did I work up this project because I had the pattern, but also I was really reconsidering some of my choices and like onesies and things. Like for another teddy suit, for example, I really love the teddy suit, but it would be a little bit more difficult, more challenging to get it on and off of him when he's so small, especially if I'd be changing him very, very frequently. So buttons were really, really recommended to me, especially on the lower half, so then I wouldn't have to fully take him out of whatever he is wearing. And so then the Monday suit became a little bit more attractive as a new mom and something that I wanted to knit up. So this has buttons all along the side, or it will have buttons all along the side, so I can just easily unbutton the bottom half if I'm gonna change him, so I don't have to fully take him out of the suit. Which brings me to the buttons that I have. Can you see them? Okay, this is a little difficult, but they're so small. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna lean forward for you guys here. It was very difficult to find buttons that I was happy with, if I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm very picky with buttons, apparently. I went to multiple stores to find these buttons. It's just challenging because of the size and then the type of button that I was kind of looking for. I really like a natural button. I don't like the shiny plastic buttons. I don't like the, I don't know. I don't like crazy shapes or anything like that. I don't like metallic buttons. And so for the gray jumpsuit, I was really envisioning something darker, but then having a more natural finish to it. I'm happy with these buttons though. I think they will look really, really nice. And they're darker, but they're not black. Most of the buttons that I could find were just black, and I was just like, well, that's not very, it's too much contrast. So then this one has just a tiny little bit of light brown in the center. Can you tell? Maybe you can't tell, but I can tell. And I think with the brown, or with the gray, it'll look really nice. So that's the hope anyway. But it's really a struggle to find these natural buttons in such a small size. So these are like 12 millimeter buttons. I think so. Yeah, and such small, anything bigger would look really strange on him. And on this piece, you know what, I'm gonna insert some B-roll because this is very difficult to do. But yeah, I think these are gonna pair really nicely, and it's gonna make like a nice natural finish to the Monday suit. I still have something else to show you, some other things to show you, which is great. Yeah, so I'm not going to talk about the cardigan. The fisherman's cardigan is in the corner over there, and it's in timeout. So I don't really want to work on that right now. But I have started working again on my green 2x1 cardigan, 2x1 sweater. Sorry, guys. So this is a project that I've had on my needles for a very long time. It was a Christmas cast on. This is yarn that I was kindly gifted by Cardiff Cashmere. So it's a cashmere yarn, the base, and then I'm pairing it with some Knitting for Olive Dusty Artichoke. I've mentioned in the past that this project, I haven't been really crazy about it because of the color of the yarn. The cashmere really stumped me because when I received it, it looked so much different from what I had seen in the pictures online. And I thought it was closer to Dusty Artichoke than it was. It was more minty green. And that was just not something that I was really anticipating. I wasn't expecting that. And so it kind of stumped me on working. I guess I'm really somebody, if I don't love the yarn, it kind of like gets in my way because I don't really like working with it then. It's not the feel or anything. The feel is very luxurious. I think it's a very high quality yarn and would definitely recommend it if you're looking to splurge and really invest in a nice material for your pieces. I would 100% recommend that, but just the color, it just shocked me a little bit. It's just so slightly off. I know I'm probably making such a big deal about this every time I talk about it. It's just so slightly not what I was expecting, which is why I'm just very picky, I guess. But anyway, that's why I got the Dusty Artichoke, because I wanted to soften that color, just to recap. And I'm really happy with how it's looking right now. And I think on camera, it looks really, really great. So this is just a sweater that I've been working on very, very slowly since Christmas. And I'm starting to be very, very happy with how it's working up. So I had a lot of thoughts about this. As you can see, it's going to be a full-length sweater, or the sleeves are going to be full-length, because in a knitting vlog a couple of weeks ago, I was sharing that I was, just finishing up the body here, which I need to go back and do it again, but I'll get to that in a second. And I was going to cast on for the sleeves, and when I was thinking about it then, I was thinking, it's springtime, it's getting a lot warmer outside, which it is. Maybe it would benefit me to have a short sleeve sweater. And so I picked up stitches and started working, and then got to the point where it would kind of be a little bit longer than these sleeves right here, if I did the cuff and everything. And I was looking at it and I was like, yeah, that would be nice, but what would serve me better is probably a full-length sweater, let's not cut corners here. Let's finish and use all the yarn that I have, which I might have to play yarn chicken, so, ugh. But, so I decided to do a long sleeve sweater. So I'm almost done with the first sleeve, and I didn't do any decreases here. It's just gonna be a simple straight sleeve. And then, when I size down for the cuff, it might it will gather slightly, I think. Or not, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, so I'm happy with how it's working up and the decision that I made in that regard, because, I need to think about I want to get these projects off the needles. I want to finish them. I want to feel that sense of accomplishment. But I also want to be sure that I'm really, taking my time to make something that I'm really going to love. That's the whole point behind Well Love Knits, making things that you will love to wear. And I need to make sure that I'm doing that. And with this decision, I think it will definitely be something that I love to wear. And you know what, the color is growing on me, because when I actually tried it on, I thought, you know, green is flattering on redheads, so it is a nice color. It is going to be a very beautiful sweater, just a lot different than the things that I have already in my wardrobe, which is perfect, because then it might, you know, serve me in a good way. Right, so I finished recently the body, and as you can see, it's just very cropped. And I did that on purpose because I was like, oh, I'm pregnant right now, and maybe I could have a cropped sweater, because I really, really love the cropped v-neck sweater, the retro v-neck sweater that I recently finished and shared the pattern for you guys. I love that sweater, and I love how cropped it is, but I'm coming past the time where I would really need sweaters in this pregnancy. And maybe in postpartum, I might like something that's covering more than now, where I'm really just trying to emphasize my bump right now. That's something that I really like. I like to show it off. Probably in postpartum, I'm not gonna want to do that. I'm going to want, you know, full coverage clothes. So I'm gonna have to rethink that. But what I'm going to do first is knit the other sleeve, because like I was saying, I might be running out of yarn. I just finished one skein. I think I started it here at the top of the sleeve. So I'm a little concerned about that, because I think I only have 2 skeins left. And if that's the case, I won't really have too much for the body, because I will have to break into another skein to finish the sleeve. And then if I really did start with 1 skein up at the top, I'm gonna have to use 1 skein and then another little bit of that other skein. So I might not even have enough to make it long, so we'll see. Anyway, I think I got 9 skeins of that Cardiff cashmere. I don't think it goes very far. Is it 9 skeins? It was a long time ago. But yes, so it's turning into a very beautiful sweater. I'm very, very happy with it. A couple of more things, you know, once I get once everything gets kind of closer to the final form, gonna check out the collar again, make sure that it's fine. I definitely need to bring it in with some elastic. It's sitting a little bit funny, but with elastic, it should make everything just fine and sit really nicely. And I just think it's going to be a really nice piece once it's done. Materials are really lovely, and then I'm really loving the shape and how it's turning out, so I'm very happy with this self-drafted project. And you know, it's a testament for, you know, taking your time, making sure that you make everything exactly how you want it to be. One thing that I want to share is just a project that I've kind of been mulling over. So here, I have 2 swatches. This is the Drops Andes yarn that I purchased online a long time ago, and I ended up getting a sweater quantity's worth to knit up a seamless mock neck sweater. But, you know, it's a very oatmeal color, and I wasn't really sure about it being so close to my skin tone and that sort of thing. I ultimately decided to go with the brown shade of the Andes wool, which I used to knit up that sweater, and yeah, I really love that sweater. I think it was a good choice, but I was unfortunately not able to return this yarn, so I have a full sweater's quantity of Drops Andes yarn that I would like to use. And I was kind of thinking like, yeah, okay, I could knit a sweater, but what else could I knit with a sweater's quantity worth of yarn? I might not get the full sweater's quantity done with the project that kind of came to mind, but it would be kind of a fun experiment and see like how, you know, how it all works out. So anyway, this is an unblocked swatch of that Andes wool right here. And this is a felted version of that same swatch. So I made 2 of them. This is unblocked just for reference, and then this is after being felted in the washing machine. And I think it's really cool. I'm interested in working up a felted bag. So if you are not familiar with felting, it basically takes about 20% of the yarn. Like you lose 20% of the width of the yarn, and sometimes, you know, a percentage of the length as well when working up a project. So my thought was, and it creates, and it creates this really dense fabric. Maybe I should talk about that first. So you can see here that in comparison to this swatch right here, which is very loose and open, yeah, this right here is a really tight fabric. And, you know, since we're coming into warm weather months, you know, sweaters aren't necessarily the most useful. So I really love knitted accessories in spring and summer for the warm weather months. I think those are a lot of fun. Last year I made a fanny pack. I tried to see like how to knit one of those up, and it actually turned out pretty cool. It was a lot of fun to kind of figure out the construction with that. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, it would be cool to do a felted tote, because I've actually seen that from like Paloma Wool and some other like fashion brands that have made knitted totes, felted totes. And, you know, I've been intrigued by it because I even shared in my 15 free patterns for spring. Again, I'm mentioning that video, so definitely go check it out. But that one, I talked about the Simple Knit Tote by Pearl Soho. And that is a really cool minimal bag, kind of slouchy. I think it would go with a lot of outfits, definitely my style. But the one thing that I said in that video was, is it going to be something that you can kind of like put a lot of stuff in? Is it going to be durable? That's what I'm trying to think of. Is it going to be durable? Is it going to hold what you need it to hold? Because, you know, knit fabrics can be very, you know, flimsy and forgiving, and, you know, that might not be this kind of structure that you want for a handbag. And so then I was thinking, well, you know, felted would provide that structure. You know, it's definitely got some fluidity to it, but if you put like keys in it, for example, it's gonna really hold, and it's not gonna, you know, like poke through or anything like that. And if you add a lining, it's gonna be even better. So this kind of solves a lot of problems. I kind of want to figure out the construction for that, and then also use a lot of yarn. And since I would be felting it, I would make it much larger than I would need it to be at the start. And then during the felting process, it would shrink down, you know, 20%, maybe even more. Kind of depends how much more felted, because this is only 2 washes, and it did a pretty considerable, there's a pretty considerable difference there. So I'm excited for that project. I just wanted to share that with you. I made some swatches, and I'm interested in sharing that process with you guys. So definitely keep an eye out for that. If I can get around to casting that on and figuring out the construction, because I think it would be really cool. And I would love to share how to do it with you guys. But yeah, so that's all the knitting related content. I did want to share some sewing content because I am working on a me-made maternity wardrobe, this dress being one of them. I've also made a couple of other things recently. And they're 2 skirts. They're really, really simple, but I did want to share it because I know that some of you are like kind of curious about sewing or beginner sewers. And I really enjoyed this pattern recently, and it's a free pattern that you can do. So I made 2 skirts recently. You've seen this one. This one is just it's just a rectangle skirt, to be honest. It's a rectangle, it's gathered up at the top. This one, same principle, but a little bit different with some flair. First of all, the fabric. Roz was like, oh wow, is this your application into The Sound of Music? Are you gonna be the Van Trapp family? So if you've seen that, you know. It looks like the curtains, that was the joke. Haha. But I really love it. I feel so good in this this skirt. It just makes me feel like me. It reminds me of a skirt that I used to own that I actually wore a hole into. So I'm happy to have this in my wardrobe, and I'm happy that I made it myself, you know? So this one is also a rectangle skirt, but it has another tier to it. So instead of being a full rectangle skirt, I did 2 panels and did some gathering at the top of one panel and sewed them together, and to make this like 2-tiered like ruffle bit. I still need to work on my gathers. I did a lot better on this dress because, you know, I had practice with this one. But ruffles they're easy but kind of difficult sometimes to get it right, you know, to get it just how you want it. But I did match up the seams, which I was really proud of. So yes, very, very simple, such a beginner project. Really only took me an afternoon to make one, so 2 afternoons, and you could have 2 skirts. And I wanted to share, I found an Instagram account recently. Her name is DIY Daisy. I think she's based in Australia, and she's actually coming out with a book. But besides all of that, which is really exciting for her, she also has a really awesome website where she shares a lot of free patterns, and I followed her steps. Like, it's a recipe kind of, you know, it's like you need to take your own measurements, but the steps will work if you just, you know, follow them and with your measurements, you know? And I really, really enjoyed it. It was so easy to use. So I'm definitely going to link that in the description. And I think you guys should go check her out if you're interested in sewing. Yeah, these skirts are really, really easy for me to wear, you know, like over the bump and everything. So I've been really, really loving them. I'm sorry, I'm out of breath. So I think I'm gonna actually go and stop talking now. But if you are interested in sewing, definitely give that a look. Check out Hub a Ding too, because I really, really loved this pattern as well. And I'll share some other patterns that I end up getting into. I think this weekend I want to do another like common stitch pattern, which is another indie pattern making business. And maybe some more Anna Allen clothing is in my future. A Demeter dress, another one. I didn't bring that one to share, but I think I am gonna do like a whole roundup at the end of like in my 3rd trimester when I have a lot of different things to share, and show you guys my me-made maternity wardrobe and everything that I made and what I loved about it. And yeah, anyway, I'm gonna go. This is probably a lot longer than I normally do in terms of podcasting. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys sitting here and knitting probably and chatting with me, even though I'm not knitting and chatting. If you like this video, definitely give it a like. It really helps me out. And if you want to stick around, definitely consider subscribing so you know when I upload new videos every week. Thank you guys again, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!